Hi Brian. Okay, this is Simon, and sorry my English is bad, but whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna walk you through the setting of the 8.33 frequency range for one of the aircrafts I haven't done yet. So I chose the Mooney M20R because I did not change it because I didn't fly under VATSIM for this frequency range. So let's jump into the sim and into the Spadnext and try to do that. So I just powered up the aircraft like really fast just to be able to get the that's GNS 530 working. So frequencies are right here, and I'm gonna bring on the Spadnext. So right now on the, I'm gonna use the top here for the example. So right now, you probably have something like that with different variable names, but you probably have that. So outer knob is an increment of 1. That button here is for a frequency swap, and then the inner knob has an increment of 0.025. And as you know, the 1 will not show because on the left and right displays here, the format, as you can see, is the format here. I left all 6 digits, but the value cutoff is on the left, which means that it's gonna cut the 1. Okay, so that's exactly what it's doing on my device here. So all right, let's do that. First, I'm gonna test to see if the 0.005 increment is working. So I'm gonna take the inner clockwise and change the increment value to 0.005. This is just to make sure that it has capability of doing that. Okay, and then I'm gonna use the knob to change it. So the 0.05 is working, and I'm gonna check out in the sim. Same thing in the sim. So I'm going to put it back to 25 because I want to reset it to the value it was before, which is 25. So I'm going to set it back. This is just to confirm that actually the sim supports that functionality. Okay, first thing. Now, we need to set up some sort of Boolean indicator that's going to help us trigger the variation between 0.05 and 0.25, because you don't want to have it at 0.05 all the time, because changing frequencies is too long, and especially on VATSIM, if you fly in the US, you're gonna, man, it's gonna be a mess. So you don't want that. You want to have the capability of changing yourself the that indicator. So just for the sake of that exercise, I'm gonna use the bottom here. Well, no, okay, let's do step by step. Okay, this here we're gonna use, we know that the press short only is assigned to that button here to swap the frequencies. So there is one more functionality here, which is the press long. This is what we are gonna use to be able to change from points between 0.005 and 0.25 for the frequency range. Okay, so let's do that. Add event, press long. If you press long, you want to change the indicator. The indicator is not created yet, so let's create that. So change data value, new local variable. Okay, so let's give it a name. So M20R underscore, whatever name you want. Okay, that's but a name that you will easily find. So I'm gonna frec range. I'm gonna radio frequency range, just like that. You can put it in the profile. This one I should put it in the profile, but it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna leave it in the session. It's gonna be a number. It could be a string, but here it's gonna be a number. I'm gonna set a default value to 0. So when you boot up the profile in Spadnext, it's gonna be 20. And the intent is to keep no decimal here. The idea is that it's gonna be either 0 if we want 0.025 increments, or 1 if we want the 0.005 increments. That's how I think of it. Okay, you can use whatever other logic, but that's the way like Boolean things should work. Okay, so I'm going to create that variable right now, and when we press it, we want it to be 1. Let's set it to 1 if we press it long that button, but given that it's currently 0. Okay, so if the radio frequency range is 0, if the frequency range is 0, we want it to be 1, and the opposite is true. But one thing super important for indicator, you have to end the processing after you switch the indicator from one value to the other. Otherwise, I'm going to show you what's going to happen. So okay, let's just finish with that. Okay, so that's the first. If the frequency range indicator is 0, we set it to 1, and we need to copy that. Let's use Control C and then Control V to have the exact opposite. Okay, so if the value is 1, we want it to be 0. Okay, and we need the end processing. Okay, why do we need end processing? The thing is that when you're gonna press long, it's gonna scan through all the actions here. It's gonna find active press long, and then it's gonna change from 0 to 1 because the condition is met, and then it's gonna skip to the next, and the thing you just change it to 1, so it's gonna process that command 2 and bring it back to 0. That's pretty stupid. So we need the end processing, meaning it's gonna exit all the processing actions to make sure that it does not do 2 actions, right? So we have set up our indicator, and just for the sake of the exercise here, I'm gonna use the low displays here, okay, just to show the indicator here, just for the sake of the testing. So I'm gonna deactivate the left displays here. So you can do that by disabling this, all right, and add a new temporary left display, and we want to display the value that we just M20R radio frequency range. We want to display it on the left panel. Okay, so right now it's 0. All right, this is gonna help us monitoring the long press. Okay, so let's try that. Let's push the long press just to see if the indicator is changing. All right, it seems to be working. Let's press it again. It's 0. So see, we just created a variable that's gonna allow us to use that to change from one to the other frequency range. All right, so good. So back to the top here. So now the 0.025, we want it when the indicator is 0. So let's add a condition here. If the M20R radio frequency range is 0, we want it to be 0.025. Good. And same thing with the decrement. Add the condition, browse. Let's use that condition. If it's 0.025. Good. But we need to copy these using Control C, Control V. Same for the decrement. Control C, Control V. They appeared at the bottom here. And change. If it's equal to 1, we want the increment or decrement to be 0.005. So let's do that. Change the value here to 1 for the indicator. If the indicator is 1, we want the increment to be 0.5. Just like that. Same for the decrement. All right. 0.5. Good. Okay. So now let's test it just here. So now if I turn the inner knob, it's 0.025 increments. Let's stop there and long press the active standby button. It's now 1, and then check it out, 0.05 increments. Magnificent, it works. And then I'm gonna test it here, so I'm gonna change it back to 0, just like that. Check it out. So frequency is 0.025, and then I'm gonna push it again long, so it's about 1 second, and then you can see that it works. And if I press short, I can swap between the frequencies. Okay, so that's how it is. If well, after you're done, maybe you use that for the maybe you use the left display. You don't want to have the indicator all the time, so you can basically just delete that. It was just for testing purposes, and re-enable these, enable that, and reload the actual profile. Activate profile. It should, oh yeah, I'm gonna use yes. It should bring back the display for the altimeter here. But now you don't have an indicator. You can choose, you know that there are duplicates. So let's say ADF. I don't really use ADF on both. So if you want, you can switch it to ADF here. If you really want and to see the indicator between 0.005 and 0.025, you can input it here somewhere if you want, so that you will control ADF and DME on the top section, and here you can assign other things to be displayed if you want. But this, I'm not going to bother with that because the problem is actually fixed right now. If I want to change 0.25 or I press long, and then the 0.05 is gonna be implemented. All right, I hope this helped. And well, just as a closer, just for you, these variables should be different for you because it's going to be P3D, but the reasoning is the exact same thing. So you should be able to see the same actions and data value that I was able to provide to you. So hopefully that helps. If you have more questions, feel free to ask. I mean, I can even make you another video if it's really necessary for you. So hopefully that helps, man, and good luck with that.